Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. It's April 2nd and let's discuss why Israel is responsible for high prices at the gas station. Why did they do it? How did they do it? And everything entails. Now, we have to look at the big picture here. Why Israel doing what it's doing? Well, basically, it is fighting for its survival. If you didn't know, if you're not looking deep into the politics, if you're not researching the subject, for almost 50 years now, slightly less, Iranian regime, let's separate the two. I'll be mostly talking about Iranian regime. I have nothing against Iranian people, and Israel has nothing against Iranian people. Iranian regime set its course against Israel and United States. Why? Because it's easy target, it's a big target, and it sounds good. Like we're fighting this enormous behemoth, and they cannot do anything to us, and blah blah blah. But in case of Israel, Israel was an scapegoat. Jews are scapegoats historically throughout any government regime that is struggling to do what they're supposed to be doing. Like if you if you're having difficulty in your government, in your country, and you cannot provide wealth well enough, if you cannot provide medicine, education, progress, whatever it is that you need to do in your country to make it prosperous, blame the Jews. That's historically happening hundreds and hundreds of times for at least 2,000 years now. So that was Iranian strategy, and few other countries in the region as well, and they pushed it. And not only they pushed it, they subsidized terrorist organizations, they provided them with finances, they provided them with weapons. And if you don't know, there was a clock in the capital of Iran, and that clock was counting towards the demise of Israel. They actually set the clock. Like they were not just saying, we don't like them, they're bad or whatever. They were saying that Israel is bad, and they were doing factual stuff against it, just without any shame, without any limitation, without any restraint. They were against Israel. So in recent news and recent development, Israel figured out that they're building a nuclear weapons. Again, Israel has Mossad. Mossad is their intelligence service, and there's a bunch of other intelligence services there. Doesn't matter. They know details. They have information on the ground. They understand that if the weapon is developed, it's going to be used against Israel, and the damage would not be fixable. It can be devastating, to say the least. Now, everybody else in the world say, well, they're never used nuclear weapon, so we should not be worried about. But it's not the Israeli approach. Israeli approach is simple. If somebody is saying that they're out there to kill you, prevent that any way possible. And in terms of Israeli history, at least starting from 1948, it works 100% of the time. Every country that stated that they hate Israel, one way or another, tried to eliminate it or hurt its people. That's just history, that's just facts. It happened over and over again. So Israeli, they have the Mossad, they're building the networks, they're understanding what's happening, they're investigating, they're scouting the information. In 2024, Iran directly attacked Israel. Iranian regime was first to attack Israel. Israel never directly attacked Iran with any missiles, and I understand there were killings of high-profile Iranian physicists who are working on nuclear program, and few other people, especially when they travel to Syria and Lebanon, high-profile people were injured or dead, and most recently, there were a couple of Iranians who suffered during the pager attack. If you don't remember the pager attack, Israel infiltrated the Hezbollah's internal command, and they distributed internally pagers with explosives to Hezbollah members. Somehow, few of these pagers ended up in Iran, and when they exploded all over the world, some Iranian high-profile generals or military positions, they got hit. So Israel was taking its steps to defend itself all the time, non-stop, and the reason is Iran is always threatening them and consistently, persistently subsidizes and provides weapons to terrorist organizations around Israel. It provides Hezbollah, it provides Hamas, it sends weapons to Syria, to Lebanon, through Jordan they go into Palestinian West Bank, whatever it's called. So they're supplying weapons against Israel. Israel has the right to defend itself. It wants to survive. It has no business with Iran, even though they used to be strategic partners back in the day. Up until 79, they were strategic partners. And funny enough, if you really want to see historical proof of that and you don't believe your eyes, go to Google Maps, go historically. I think it was up until 2011. If you look up Iranian air company, again, it's the primarily Iranian air company there. Their headquarters had Star of David, Magen David, on top of the roof. Instead of the helipad, they had Star of David. It was built by Israel. One of the, it's a serious building, and Israel cooperated to that level where they designed a building inside of Tehran. And there were like oil pipes or gas pipes projects with Tehran. Everything crumbled when the regime took over after the revolution. So Iran threatens, Israel defends itself, but then in 2024, Iran decides to join Hamas in its war and sends hundreds and hundreds of ballistic missiles towards Israel. Ballistic missiles. This is not a joke. This is a serious threat. This actually kills people, and some people were injured and killed. Israel had no other way to respond to this aside from actually hurting Iran back. And in that time, they did a demonstrative attack. Now, they killed some major, I believe it was a air defense system. They just destroyed it. A system which was supposed to prevent the destruction, and it was destroyed. But Iran didn't get the message, at all, and decided to attack again and again and again, whatever. So Trump goes and they destroy a nuclear facility that is designated to create new design for nuclear weapons. It's not a question of if or maybe, it's not a guess. We know for a fact that this is designated for nuclear weapons, which Iran technically has no need for. Absolutely. Nobody in the world right now for the last 50 years threatens Iran. Nobody does. Nobody cares. They can live in peace if they wanted to, with everybody. But Iran insists that they need it for civilian purposes, but somehow the uranium that they have was already enriched up to 60%. And as far as I know, you need enrichment up to like 3-5%, the max. Okay? So somehow they are 20 to 12 times more than they needed to be. Therefore, it is clear indication. And again, before that, Israel managed to capture huge archives which detail the fact that they're building nuclear weapons. And recently, as we know, Iran shot some missiles towards American base, and it's very very far in considering the distance from Iran, and that target is potentially 4,000 kilometers, which means Iran has a long-range missiles which cover most of the Europe. Again, Iran claimed, swear it on Allah and everybody, that they don't have such weapons and they're not developing such weapons, and turns out they are capable of targeting objects 4,000 kilometers away. So this is not a joke anymore. This is a serious threat. So everything in terms of, if we're looking from political behavior, Iran is a big liar, and it threatens destruction of Israel. Israel defends itself. So Israel sets its goal to eliminate the threat, not to change the regime. Changing the regime would be nice, but Israel doesn't have boots on the ground and will never have, and has no intention to do it. Changing regimes is a very, very expensive, to say the least, process. So their job is to destroy the military threat from Iran. That's it. Now suddenly Iran, in return, in retaliation, Iran decides to threaten everybody in the region. Such a nice regime, absolutely nice. They're so friendly. They're shooting at every country in the region, especially those that produce oil and gas, for no apparent reason. They're so kind that even their strategic partners, business partners, okay, they're shooting at them. United Arab Emirates getting hit. I have friends who's supposed to be moving there. I have friends who used to live there, and right now they're leaving the country because of consistent threat. It's not easy. UAE was not technically was not prepared for that whatsoever. Now what they did, they shut down banking accounts associated with the Iranian regime. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars and many billions of dollars. We don't have the exact details. So imagine that your regime stores millions upon millions of dollars, and they used banking system of UAE for many, many years, and they shoot at their own bankers. This is ridiculous. And don't tell me, well, if Israel would not provoke, Israel never provoked Iran whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. There is no reason for Iran to attack Israel. Not historically, not politically, not financially, not strategically. It's pure idea of hatred towards the Jews and using Jews as a scapegoats. And the concept comes from Russia, Soviet Russia of that time. But again, I'm not going to go through the whole history, why it is and how it is. But Russia used it multiple times, and Iran's like, oh, they're using it, I'm going to use it as well. Or maybe Russia's like advise them, hey, by the way, if you need an scapegoat, do this and this, it will be great. You can lie to your people about your struggles for decades, and nobody will pay attention. And like, it will be somebody else to blame, somebody else's problem. Same thing with Syria, same thing with Lebanon, same thing with Jordan and Egypt. They all blamed Israel at one point or another, and it obviously didn't solve their economical problems. But Jordan stopped doing it, and it became nicer. Egypt stopped doing it, and it became nicer, and they have peace agreements, so it's working out for them. That they're living normal lives. They don't have conflicts. Lebanon allowed Hezbollah to grow to the sizes of enormous military power, and technically it's a failed state right now. A foreign military organization Hezbollah, which is subsidized predominantly by Iran, is holding full cards in Lebanon. There is no economy, there is no exports, there is no normal lives, there is no laws, there is no political system, governing systems, everything under control of Hezbollah. Hezbollah literally has a party in their parliament, but even if they don't vote on something, Hezbollah decides what to do and how to do it. And in recent weeks, Iranian ambassador was expelled from Lebanon, and he was supposed to leave the country, but instead he said, like, I'm just staying here, I don't care about you. And he's, as far as we know right now, he's there, he's just chilling in his apartment. So everybody disrespects Lebanese people, Lebanese government, without any concern, regret whatsoever. It's like, we're doing here whatever we want to do. And the reason for that is ability to maintain conflict with Israel for so many years. Syria, same thing. They wasted time and resources fighting Israel instead of building their economy. It's a failed state as well. It may have a chance right now. It looks very shady, very gray, but again, I wish them well as long as they live in peace with their neighbors. Do whatever you want to do. It doesn't look like they're doing it. There's lots of conflicts and lots of division within the country, and they're very far away from normal society. But again, we wish them well. So Iran is always problematic. Now, Israel defends itself. So if you see your prices at the gas station and you're like, well, Israel is bad, that's not Israelis' fault. That's Europeans' fault. They allowed this to happen. They allowed Iran to prosper. Whenever Iran said, we hate Israel, we're going to destroy it, nobody in the world said, well, this is not right, and we're going to do something about it. Absolutely no one said anything. Not only they didn't say anything, some countries made lots of money out of it. For example, China. China is trading oil with Iran. They're getting huge discounts. So most countries like, well, this is not right, and they put some sanctions in place. Well, mostly, and everybody followed the suit. China said, well, we're too big. They start buying oil from Iran for very low prices. It's great for Chinese economy, but what we Europeans, Americans, and everybody in the world doing, we're supporting that. We're buying Chinese products. It didn't start overnight. It didn't start over a month or a year. We're buying them for the last 30, 40 years. One of the reasons that Chinese products are so cheap is that resources are cheaper than anybody else. Chinese government using its power wisely. Again, it's not great for the people, but if we're talking about a big country that's growing, economy blooming and everything, Chinese government is doing an amazing job. They are figured out how to get cheap resources. They have cheap labor. They established massive powerhouse of cheap production, and everybody depends on it. Every single country. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who works in an engineering firm, and they build cooling systems. And it's huge arenas, coal mines, and what's not. Like, it's an enterprise. It's a very big organization. And at one point in time, a Chinese company, government-based company, came to them. It's like, we need a cooling system. One of the conditions is that not a single component, and we're talking about multi-million product, supposed to be made in China. That came from Chinese government. And my friend's department spent over 6 months researching every component, and they couldn't find everything. I don't remember the exact numbers, but something like 93 or 97% were made outside of China, outside of Chinese materials, raw materials, and what's not. But some percentage, either 3 or 7%, still was only manufactured in China. There was no other way to find these products. Okay, so even Chinese government doesn't trust Chinese products, but we do. We're buying cheap stuff, and it's like we're happy. Yay! It's cheap. We can use it once and throw it away, and it doesn't hit our wallet. So we subsidize China. China subsidizes Iran. Iran builds weapons and threatens everybody in the region. Right now, they closed Strait of Hormuz. And that impacts global economy for everybody. It's supposed to be impacting who? It's supposed to be impacting Israel, because Israel attacked, or America. But again, America doesn't buy much oil from anybody in the region, and Israel neither. Okay, they have other ways to get the oil into the country. So why their Iran is impacting production? They're shooting at the oil refineries of neighboring countries. There was a pipeline as well to go around it. It's not major one, but still capable of supplying some resources. And Iran is shooting at the pipeline. They're preventing, like, they're not allowing countries to do their own business. Why is that? They're literally terrorizing the entire region. They're so nice, they're so friendly. As long as we don't touch them, all right, they're touching everybody. That's their strategy. Literally, they shot at 12 different countries, Israel included, plus American bases everywhere that they can reach, including Turkey. Turkey's like, we're not doing anything. And so far, 4 times they shot at Turkey. They're actually apologized. That's like, hey, we did it by mistake. And as soon as they apologized, they shot at Turkey again. Turkey is the NATO country, by the way. And attacking Turkey is supposed to invoke Article 5, and the entire NATO is supposed to join defending Turkey. And they also shot at Cyprus, I think, and Greece, but that, again, nobody cares. Literally nobody cares. Even now, when Iran is terrorizing global economy, everybody, well, Israel, you should stop. The oil price is very high. Please calm down. And blaming America as well. So, now let's go back to the prices of oil specifically. We are in, it's more than a month that the war started, 30 days. This is where we only right now starting to feel oil shortages. Before that, we were running on a previous oil that we already purchased, that was already en route to refineries and everything. It's not just it was developed and right away it was extracted from the soil and instantly it's a gasoline in your gas station. It's a very, very long process, and it takes time. It just really takes time. So, but the price skyrocketed right away, instantly, in every country, especially, not especially, but among those countries, United States and Canada. And I live in Canada, and here in the gas station, the price went up at least by 40%. Now, why I'm specifying Canada and United States? These two countries are the biggest oil producers in the world. Canada alone can supply entire world for years. We're talking about decades and upon decades upon decades. We have the capacity. But somehow here in Canada, our gas prices went up by 40%. How come? The production of gasoline or other means of fuel didn't become more expensive overnight. The extraction didn't become more expensive for us, for Canadians. Everything remains the same. But there is a global trade, and global trade looks at this as a global commodity and says, well, there's going to be shortage. They don't know how soon, within a week, within a month. Right away, the price jumps. So oil companies, oil traders are making money right away. They started making money over a month ago, instantly, as soon as this conflict was close to that. And I looked at the price of oil even before that, when Trump was kind of speculating and saying military is on its way to Iran. Already oil jumped. So it has nothing to do with the shortage up until now. It's already, you're paying at the gas station, not because of Israel, because the gas company and the whole world trade system is speculating on the fact that there is going to be shortage. That's the strategy. Okay? We're going to speculate anytime we're capable of. So somebody is making tens of billions of dollars because of this situation. On top of that, there is reserves. People don't leave, countries don't survive like because they have, like, they're not Cubas, right? Where there is no money to actually have enough storage for a long-term disaster like this. Everybody has something in their reservoirs for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months even. Okay? So those reservoirs supposed to fill the gap as well for at least several weeks. But no, the price jumped instantly, right away. Now, for many people, the price at the gas station is expensive, which means there's going to be less demand, but still price is climbing. So it's a purely speculative behavior. Has nothing to do with Israel, has nothing to do with America, has everything to do with the way we people treat each other. It was okay, you could keep the price low, but no, we're gonna make money out of that. So blame ourselves, don't blame somebody else. Israel has nothing to do with that. United States military action has nothing to do with the oil prices, but the actual fact that people want to speculate on that. Now, if we're going to go historically back, in 50s, there was major jump in oil prices. The oil was like under $3 a barrel. Under $3 a barrel. It's something about 20 bucks in today's money. And suddenly it jumped to 13. Because somebody decided to play powerhouse back in the day. And the same thing happened when the Iranian Revolution. The price was about 13 or 17 per barrel, and it went to 30. And was major crisis. And it happened again and again and again. So there is different reasons to speculate oil prices, but these are artificial. It's not that the only time when production was really impacted when Saddam attacked Kuwait, because it took over the oil or production there and destroyed oil wells on its way out. Destroyed. That, yes, that was an actual impact. But even now, if we move to another side of the world and look at Russia. Russia is a huge powerhouse that is a major oil producer. It went to war and prices went up just like that, because people started to speculate right away. Even though Russia decided like, well, we're gonna sell it for more. So a country goes to war, terrorizes its neighboring country, and the price is going. So we're actually paying them even more for their own horrible, absolutely catastrophic actions. That's today's reality. Now, it's been over 4 years in Russia-Ukraine war, and still some countries to this day buying oil from Russia and buying gas from Russia. To this day, it's been 4 years. We're comfortable. At the same time, it's worth mentioning that some European countries, they're subsidizing Ukraine. So they're buying oil and gas from Russia a little bit cheaper, or they're buying final products through other countries. So for example, Russia sells oil very cheap to India, and India sells gasoline and other fuels in the region, and they're buying it cheaper. So everybody is winning, and from that money, we're continuing to subsidize the war. It's very easy to end Russia-Ukraine war. Stop buying anything from Russia. Just stop it. And Russian economy will collapse. They're 90% right now, 90% dependent on outside. But no, India is making money. They're getting cheap oil. China is making lots of money. Not only they buying resources extremely cheap, they have one of the best deals on the market, but at the same time they're capturing Russian market. They're selling cars, computers, drones, weaponry, like anything that they possibly can to kind of portray themselves to be semi-decent, but they're making billions and billions of dollars. Their trade is in billions right now with Russia, tens of billions. And everybody's like, okay, we still buying products from China. So if we're saying, well, somebody can stop this war, Trump should say, or do something about it, or Israel should do something about it. Why China is not doing anything? China literally can say, hey, Iran, stop developing nuclear weapons, enriching uranium, and stop building long-range missiles. And within a day, this war ends. China can do that, but it's not doing it. It's making money. China can do the same thing to Russia. We will stop trading with you. You're like, again, Russia, one of the major export destinations for Russia is oil and gas. It goes to China, and they're getting some other resources sold, raw materials, coal, timber, and whatever it is, doesn't matter. If China says to Russia, you're stopping the war tomorrow, and you withdraw to 1991 borders tomorrow, Russia has no choice but to comply. No matter how strong their economy is, it will not survive if China stops trade. It will collapse overnight, literally overnight. But China is not doing it. And we're supporting China by trading with it, by saying you're doing everything's fine, or not saying anything at all. So this is the reality of today. So for you complaining about Israel or America or anything like that, that you now have to pay extra, a little bit extra, it's not the end of the world. It's a price of coffee extra a day, because a country is literally being destroyed. Just for a record, there is ballistic missiles flying towards Israel with the cluster bombs. And if you don't know what it is, it's one huge missile which splits into many little objects. And the missile itself, when it falls, just the sheer size of the missile and the weight, that can destroy a building, civilian building. So far, they only destroyed civilian buildings. It's been a month. They're shooting a couple of missiles every day, 2 to 3. It's much less than the first days. Like, we can see that this action from Israel and United States is doing its job. And the number of missiles being sent is significantly lower. But it's still, just the debris causes massive damage. People are being injured. Economy stops. Everybody runs to shelter. That impacts mentally, like, for years, for decades. The mental impact of those sirens and everything. So Israel is defending yourself, and you're complaining that you need to spare a couple of extra bucks at the gas station because of the conflict. Now, if this is not fixed, it would happen anyways. This whole situation would happen anyways. It would not happen today. It will happen in a year or 5 or 10. The only difference is, by that time, there's high chance that Iran would have nuclear weapons, and there's a very high chance that we'll have another 10 or 100,000 drones, another 10 or 100,000 rockets, and the size of the conflict will be much, much bigger. That's about it. That's the only difference. So you think about it. Was it worth doing right now? Well, yes, absolutely. It's much cheaper right now in any perspective. For everybody's sake, absolutely everybody. Everybody is gaining from it. China is making a buck. Russia is making money right now because some of oil embargoes are lowered right now. But in general terms, this is ultimately best. Now, for many who's like saying that Trump is actually being used by Israel, no, this is a very important war for United States as well. And again, you have to look into the history. When OPEC decided to raise the prices of oil, that impacted uh, American economy drastically, painfully in 50s. And then the same thing happened in 70s. And then the war in Kuwait as well. Every single time something blows up in the Middle East and in that region, it impacts American economy. Not for good. It still costs money. So this solution, and again, we're hoping for it to be permanent or at least long lasting, this will impact positively for American economy. Aside from that, America is helping Israel. Israel is a strategic ally of United States. It's one of the only long-lasting strategic allies of United States. And you say, well, we're paying them lots of money, which is true, but inaccurate. For that money, and United States does invest heavily into Israel, particularly into military complex, most of the money remains in the United States. So they're kind of, here's $10 billion, and for that $10 billion, Israel will purchase American weapons, American aircrafts, American technology. But at the same time, they collaborate. And Israel develops its systems and sells them or trades them or gives them to United States. So far, we can accurately say that for every dollar that United States gives to Israel, it receives technology which they're selling later, and on average they're making about 400% from it. So it's not just giving money away. This is an investment with a very high return, very high return. So from American perspective, it's very important to keep Israel as an ally and trade with it and protect it as well. I'm not talking about the fact that there's lots of Americans that live in Israel as well, and it impacts American politics. That's a different story. Historically, it's really nice that America helps Israel, because back in the day, Jews really helped America. Look at the dollar bill, and there's a Star of David, Magen David there. Look up that story, just for reference, historical reference. It's very high likely that the history of United States would not be as it is right now if it wasn't for Jews so many years ago. There is a comment that we were living so peacefully before the war. I don't know how soon you joined this conversation of mine. The war would happen no matter what. The war would happen, and if it would happen later, it will be much worse, much worse. Again, Hamas was stockpiling weapons for months and years. They were building an infrastructure. That infrastructure was building for weapons, and that those weapons were supposed to be used. So October 7, if it didn't happen on October 7, it will happen at later day. It's not that you think maybe or not, it would happen anyways. Hezbollah was stockpiling. Again, if you look at the videos, and there's plenty of them, Israel bombs new weapon storage. It detonates for hours. Enormous stockpiles of weapons. Iran did the same. Those weapons need to be used. Russia was stockpiling weapons for decades. Eventually, they decided to use them. You are correct with saying that we should not have wars. I agree with you. We should not. Here's the thing: negotiation failed. And the fact that we have, and you're going to say, well, we had the nuclear deal. We know for a fact that Iran lied about it. uh, and again, I would like I want to finish this video because it's a very long one, and I will just chat with you in the comments. Uh, why they don't live civilized lives in the Middle East? Very long conversation, enormous conversation, but the mentality of the region is very complicated, very complicated. So I'm sorry I cannot answer all of your questions, but I will later on. So here's the thing: the war would happen anyways, and if it will happen at the later day, it will be much worse, 10 times worse. The impact on the environment and economy would be much worse. So you don't want to be there. It's good that it happens now the way it happens now. The impact on economy, it will be much worse if the war would happen later. We are much happier right now, and we can see how war progressed in Ukraine. It started with the same style of World War II, basic weapons. Now it's all digital, now it's all drones. If Iran will have much more advanced drones, this will be a completely different picture. It will just destroy the region the way they're doing the war. So it's better right now. Israel is not to blame here. Israel is defending itself, and if other countries will state the obvious, like, we don't need wars, we don't need threats, and they will take strong sanctions against regimes that decide to go ballistic, and they don't support anybody else who's supporting them. So if we have China that buys oil from Iran, we're not buying from China. That's supposed to be the proper sanctions, but it's not happening. And that allows those regimes to flourish, or not to flourish, but become what they are right now. Okay, so this is in a nutshell. Again, sorry for a very long video. I will answer all the comments. If you want to debunk me, I would enjoy any constructive conversation, any comments, any links. I will debunk absolutely everything. Yes, we should live in peace. Yes, agreements should work. Yes, we're civilized people, and peace is achievable. But sometimes, again, Iran didn't happen overnight. This situation is in the making for the last 47 years. And through the entire 47 years, Iran said, this is my enemy, I'm going to destroy it. So the only solution is to prevent that. So that's in a nutshell. Thank you very much for listening, and I would enjoy constructive conversation in the comments. Thank you. Have a good one. Peace to all.